Jason Voorhees doesn't just kill, he makes a statement. To celebrate Friday the 13th, let's count down 13 of Jason's best kills in the Friday the 13th franchise. Number 1, Liquid Nitrogen Face Smash, Jason X. What happens when the year is 2455 and a bunch of super naive students and their dumber than deputy doofy professor bring the most notorious serial killer of all time on board their spaceship instead of leaving his body and murderous tendencies safely behind on a now inhospitable wasteland that is Earth? Well, evil gets an upgrade, as Jason now has access to a futuristic arsenal of weapons and a kick-ass futuristic wardrobe. While there's a lot of creative kills in this one, the best is definitely when Jason forces one of the students' heads into a container of liquid nitrogen and then shatters her pretty face all over the floor, before tossing her body to the side like a rag doll. Let's play a game from here on out. When you see a kill that you love, hit that like button. Number 2, Split in Half, Jason Goes to Hell. The FBI has blown up Jason Voorhees, so now he's body hopping like Bill Clinton on New Year's Eve. While everyone thinks Crystal Lake is now a safe place to visit when you want to smoke some pot and have a little premarital sex, we know better, because this place has a death curse. While these teens are getting it on, woo-wee! Jason shows up to ruin all of the fun, giving us one of the most brutal kills in the franchise, ramming a road sign post through this poor girl, pulling it up and ripping her in half. It's important to note that the full gory goodness of this kill can only be seen in the unrated cut of Jason Goes to Hell, but I've got your back, buddy. I'll include the link in the description below so you can check it out. Number 3, Losing Your Head, Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. Who do you think would win in a boxing match, Jason Voorhees or literally anyone? Julius thinks after beating the brakes off of Glass Joe earlier in the film that he now has the stuff to move up in weight classes to fight the reigning, defending heavyweight champion of the world, Jason Voorhees. But he's wrong. After a nice little flurry on the roof, it's revealed that Julius never took his cardio into consideration. Or maybe it's just from fighting at elevation on a New York rooftop. But either way, Julius gets winded, and Jason delivers a nasty blow to the noggin that left Julius seeing stars. Or the bottom of a dumpster. Number 4, I See You, Friday the 13th, Part 3. What happens when 3D is the new hot ticket in horror and you want to cash in on this trend? Well, years before Jason would go to hell and space, he'd enter the third dimension, which was chock full of wonderfully shitty 3D gags. The biggest one being when he gets his hands on Chris's main squeeze, Rick, and squeezes his head so hard he crushes it like a tin can, causing his eyeball to pop out. And to make matters worse, Rick's poor body is used for a cheap jump scare only moments later. Here's looking at you, Chris. Number 5, Head Over Heels, Friday the 13th, Part 3. Andy wants to let off some steam and party with his friends before his life changes when he becomes a father. He has a lot of cool tricks to teach his boy, like juggling, yo-yoing, and he can even do handstands. But he'll never get to meet his son because Jason essentially splits him in half long ways with his machete mid-handstand in one of the most brutal kills in the franchise. Not only because of the method of murder, but because Andy was about to become a father. That's just messed up. Number 6, Sleeping in an Oven, Friday the 13th, 2009. In the 2009 reboot of the franchise, we get introduced to a bunch of future victims going camping at Crystal Lake. They're having a good time, drinking beer and having premarital sex, but we know how Jason feels about unclean living, so it doesn't take long for him to show up and crash the party. While we get a ton of hectic and fantastic kills in this movie, there's one that stands head and shoulders above the rest in terms of brutality and creativity. Boobs Alicious here gets strung up over the campfire while she's still in her sleeping bag, as her boyfriend screams her name while he's stuck in a bear trap. That's just horrible. Number 7, Tree Hugger, Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. This feisty young gal is waiting on her man to bring back some wood. While she waits, she teases him, wanting him to come warm her up. Unfortunately, she attracts the exact wrong man in Jason Voorhees, who wraps her up like a pig in a blanket and then smashes her into a tree while she's still in her sleeping bag. Kane Hodder, the man who played Jason Voorhees, has said this is his favorite kill in the entire franchise. Bonus body! I'm also including the sleeping bag kill from Jason X in this pick, because it's similar, but this time we get Jason beating two young girls against each other. Moments like this is exactly why this is my favorite horror franchise. Number 9, Brotherly Love. Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. Rob traveled to Camp Crystal Lake to hunt down Jason Voorhees to avenge the death of his sister Sandra from Friday the 13th Part 2. Rob is a total badass. Unfortunately, he runs into the man who killed his sister in a basement. Mind the third step, it's a bitch. Things don't go so well for him. As Jason manhandles Rob, he screams out to the woman he's with, warning her to run, before repeating, "He's killing me!" over and over. This one still sends chills up my spine. Poor Rob. Number 10, Dead Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. Let's all admit it, we knew Crispin Glover never stood a chance in a Friday the 13th film, especially with dance moves like this. Come on, McFly! Violet's stealing the show. But he does get the girl, despite his buddy telling him the whole movie that he's a lousy lay. The only thing holding him back now is a missing corkscrew. Well, I guess Teddy was right about one thing. He's a dead fuck. Number 11, Easy Rider. Friday the 13th, Part 2. Mark's a former athlete who suffered a horrendous motorcycle wreck that left his legs unusable, but he's in training, hoping to rid himself of the chair one day. Now he's working as a camp counselor, crushing people in arm wrestling, and he's even got himself a hottie with a body who's ready to play for position. Mark's future is looking pretty optimistic. Unfortunately, the camp he's working at is Camp Crystal Lake, and Tater Sack Jason is on the loose. When we all first watched this movie, I'm sure we all wondered if Jason would really kill a man in a wheelchair. Unfortunately, we get our answer when Mark takes a machete to the dome. But hey, at least he's not in a wheelchair anymore. Aw, damn it, Jason. Number 12, Happy Tree Friends. Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, Part 6. After being reanimated by lightning, Frankenstein style, Jason has returned to the franchise and he's making his way back to Crystal Lake. But first, he needs his trusty machete back. That's when he finds this disgruntled asshole whacking off in the bushes with a brand new chromed out machete. Jason's attracted to it like me going to the $5 DVD bin at Walmart. He grabs the man's arm, slings him into a tree, leaving a smiley face imprint, and he just stares at the machete with the man's arm still attached. Did I mention how much I love this freaking franchise? And this is actually my favorite Friday the 13th film, so it won't surprise you when I say number 13, Bent Over Backwards. Jason Lives, Friday the 13th, Part 6. Sheriff Garris may not be the biggest fan of Tommy Jarvis, but he's definitely the biggest fan of his own daughter, and he wants what he believes is best for her. So when he finds out Jason Voorhees is in hot pursuit of her, Garris steps up and goes toe-to-toe with Jason. While it's a noble effort, we know exactly where this is going. He tries shooting him, when has that ever worked? And then goes in for some rock the hockey mask combat. That's not good. Jason gets the better of the sheriff when he reaches up and literally bent this man in half backwards. I know I said 13 kills, but I've never been too good at math anyway, so I'm including Hawes on this list, who is Tommy Jarvis's friend that he met when Tommy was institutionalized, and he just wants to support a friend in helping him overcome his childhood trauma. And even when things get really hectic and go horribly wrong, Hawes never leaves Tommy hanging. He tries to help him out. He attacks Jason from behind with a shovel, and things don't go so well for poor Hawes. But I like to think Hawes is part of the horror fam, baby. That's how we do. We always have each other's back, and I just wanted to wish all of you all a very happy Friday the 13th. I'm gonna dig out my Scream Factory Friday the 13th box set and go have myself a binge marathon of these lovely, lovely films. What are you gonna do for Friday the 13th, horror fam? And what was your favorite kill on this list, or what's your favorite Friday the 13th kill of all time? Let me know by leaving a comment below. Happy Friday the 13th, my friends.